This is the very first one for Pope Leo, 7 months into the job of pontiff. So the square behind me was earlier packed with people, of course, who were listening closely to what he was saying. And as you mentioned, he talked about hotspots and conflicts around the world, starting off first in the Middle East. Of course, remembering that his very first apostolic journey or papal trip was to that part of the world. And he called for peace and stability in Lebanon, Palestine, Israel, and Syria. And then he turned his attention to Europe, in particularly mentioning his hope for peace and praying, as he put it, for the tormented people of Ukraine. And yes, calling for dialogue that is respectful, sincere, and direct between the two parties involved on that conflict, the Ukrainians and the Russians. And then, of course, a plea for peace to all those that are suffering injustice, political instability, religious persecution and terrorism, turning his attention specifically to the African continent, praying for peace in countries like Sudan, South Sudan, Mali, Burkina Faso and the Democratic Republic of Congo, of course, important and close to the heart of the pontiff. He turned his attention to Latin America as well as Asia, and in Asia talking about the conditions of the people in Myanmar, but also hoping for peace on the conflict that seems to have reignited between Thailand and Cambodia. Now, he also touched on the plight of people in Gaza in particular, as well as Yemen. And of course, as we've seen him mention in the past, and even his predecessor, talking about what is facing migrants as well as refugees around the world. He specifically talked about those that are crossing the Mediterranean, of course, coming here to Europe, but also those that are traversing the American continent. Let's not forget, this is the first US-born Pope, of course, and so he has mentioned that issue, perhaps at some point in time clashing in terms of what has been the policy of the US administration on refugees and migrants. So clearly it was a wide-ranging message, a blessing that was very much well received by the people gathered here, but really touching on issues clearly very dear to the heart of this pontiff.